Hello, hello, hello. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me again. Super grateful that you've chosen to watch and you've chosen to click like. Guys, I'm asking you, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much in advance. Today we're going to be having a conversation about some homeschool lies. I want to put it that way. Some lies that people believe about homeschooling, whether or not they're true or false. And of course, this has to be based on what? My experience. Now, while I don't really believe that truth is something that is relative, I do believe that your experience, sometimes depending on the situation, can cause your perspective to change. And just because something is true about another person's situation doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be true for your situation. So we're going to ask the question, lies people believe about homeschooling, true or false? Let's get into it. So of course, as I said before, I'm going to be talking about Kim, my experience, what is true for my family, what is not true for my family, what is false for my family. No, but just because I say it's true for mine, I'm not saying it's going to be true for yours. I'm just saying don't broad brush or let anybody broad brush an opinion or a statement as though it is a fact, because you may just find, or don't rule out something because somebody else said, you know, when I did it, and this is what happened, and you know, say, Brother John, our mouse drew over there, so when him have to pick me in there, what him a homeschool, the boy turned out to be criminal. That is Brother John or Mass John experience. Don't bring Mass John experience to me in this particular instance. So we have to think through things. We have to use our own noggin, our own brain, and not just accept certain nuances because people say I saw it go. Right? So let's get into the first lie people believe about homeschooling, and I'm gonna say it is not necessarily so. Number one, and I address this in my video titled Why Homeschooling, and I'm gonna link it up here, so check out that video because I addressed it, you know, in brief in that video. Homeschooled children will be antisocial. True or false? I'm gonna say false. Now, guys, before I get into why I say false, I want people to understand that different people have different personalities. Different children have different personalities. And whether or not they're in a public school or they're in a private school, personalities vary, right? You have introverts and you have extroverts. No, not because a child is introverted and the child happened to be homeschooled means it's homeschooling make the child quote unquote antisocial, because we don't say introverted people are necessarily antisocial, right? But I'm gonna say that is false, because, and I'm gonna use my child as an example, Phoebe is more of an extrovert than an introvert, right? She interacts with people, she likes to be around people, she wants to say hi, hello. She's that kind of child. And I mean, she get it from and then our father, she get it from. Different people have different personalities, homeschooling or no homeschooling. I've met very recently a child, and I've told this story before, and I'm talking to the little boy going like, say, him don't see nobody, right? And that child is in a public school, so you tell me now. And if that child was homeschooled, you know what they would say? You see mother have him locked up in a house, and you see him not talk to people. But what can they say now? People don't say, oh, well, it's because the child is in a public school why the child have antisocial tendencies. But no, with broad brush, I say homeschool children will be antisocial. You're picking up half in one classroom with their peers, right? For how much ever hours picking in a classroom for, in order to learn how to socialize with their peers. They just have to be interacting with people, right? It doesn't have to be people of their own age, right? Would that be okay? Fine, but what your child is gonna teach my child from a learning standpoint in terms of interaction, or for grab things and say, give me that. No, I'm not really need your child. I don't really need that child to teach my child that, right? So social behavior, right, can be learned and is still possible to be learned at home while the child is being homeschooled. So that's a myth. Number one myth, what may I say is false, is that homeschool children are antisocial. A lot of parents stop sending them picnic to church, and maybe that's why the picnic don't have no social skills. Because back then, children used to go to church and they used to learn the golden rule, and they used to sit and they used to hear God's word, and they used to learn how to interact. No, the children really, a lot of them don't have any behavior. They just don't have any behavior, they don't have any social skills, they talk to adults, they talk to children alike, and that is not a result of homeschooling. I'm sorry. It's certainly more seen in children who are left to run wild than, well, let me not broad brush again. I don't want to make a generalization, but let's just say that myth is just that. It's a myth. It's false, right? Number two, homeschool children are not going to be prepared for real life. Now, I'm going to ask you, if you're going to come to me with that, think twice, because I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to tell you what I'll ask you, but don't come to me with that. That don't make any sense. What do you mean they're not going to be prepared for real life? What are they at home doing? Not real life? What are they in? They're in virtual reality when they're at home? I'm not sure how people come up with that. Children at home, children at work, children at play, children are do real life things. I'm not sure how we have accepted that they don't get prepared for real life. Tell me in what context the real life thing come in, and how the classroom, or the traditional classroom, the conventional classroom, gives way for real life preparation versus my child being able to go to supermarket with me, go see when I count out my money, go see when I go fill up my gas tank, go see when I go visit my neighbor, see how she doing, go see when I go mail a letter. Whatever it is that I'm going to do, my child, tell me if that is not real life. Unless I am not living real life, why would my child being home with me and getting an education primarily from the home base not prepare my child for real life? And what does a conventional classroom offer for real life preparedness that a home setting, I would call it a more wholesome setting, where your child move if they need to move, them go where they need to go. Hey, somebody in the hospital, alright, come feed, we'll go to the hospital. Hello? We say, oh, you want me to go pick up something? Alright, come feed, we're going to post it. We say, oh, you want me to go send out something for you? Yeah, man, we could go run a FedEx. I mean, real life. If you're living in real life, I don't understand why a homeschool child being with a parent would not be exposed to real life scenarios. Make it make sense, please. That one missed me, but it is something that people do believe and people have said. True or false? You know, Malene. False, very false. I'm gonna tell you, don't come to me with that. I thank you. All right, number 3, that parents aren't qualified enough to teach their children. Now, people say this and them have good reason for saying it, because, well, some of them have good reason for saying it, because they're like, you want to give your child a quality education, and what kind of knowledge parents have to teach their children. Now, I'm not saying that in extreme situations where parents are completely literate or whatever, it's a good idea. Certainly not suggesting that. But I'm saying, who can be more qualified? Even if the parent don't have a degree or whatever. Remember back in the day, people, how did children grow up? Round them parents apprenticeship. If daddy a carpenter, son they behind daddy and grow up and do the thing just the way father did it. You used to learn. You used to send out your picnic, go turn. They used to say apprentice, right? Study under somebody, watch somebody, observe somebody, what they do, and learn that way. You cannot tell me that we're now saying that the way children must learn must be, take out your textbook, page 2, page 3, this is how you're going to learn this concept. No. right? That is not how it did go back then. I'm gonna see why it is a concept that we just abandoned, where children can learn by observing, and it is still learning. It's not that they're not taking notes, it's not that they're not using theory, but we cannot now say that all of a sudden parents not qualified. Who more qualified than me and you for teach with children? Who love with children and want best for children more than us, right? Now you might say, well, the teacher has a diploma in education. Big up all teachers. This is not, I love teachers. Big up on yourself, right? But I'm saying some of the teachers stressed. Some of them really just want to collect a paycheck. And at the end of the day, you have great teachers who love their students, but they cannot, for the average parent, want more for your child. They do not and will never want more for your child than you do. And guess what? Teachers go by a curriculum. Do they do other supplementary stuff and make charts and stuff and get charts and stuff to help your child learn? Yes, they do. But they're really just following a curriculum. Can you not follow a curriculum if you're a parent? Can you not, the same way the teacher is going by what ministry or whatever other organization or institution that prepare the curriculum lays out for you to follow? You can follow it too, just as they are doing it. Parents are, I would say, just as qualified and even more qualified than some teachers to teach their own child. You are with the child, you're observing your child, you love your child, you're able to motivate your child in a very specific way, a very targeted way, right? So to me, that make your qualification, even if you not have no little crest with no little shiny nothing on it to say I graduated from University of XYZ, it does not matter. Your qualification is your love for your child, the fact that you're not illiterate, and if you're illiterate you can still go learn, but I'm saying you need to have some kind of base of understanding. You must be able to at least, help yourself, as old time people would say, in order to be able to help your child, right? But if you can read, if you can write, if you can, if you're prepared to study yourself to help your child, then big up yourself. Yes, officially a qualified teacher and the best teacher for your child. That is just my opinion. Let's not forget your teacher's assistant, your teacher's aide, Google. In this day and age, nobody cannot say, oh, well, boy, I know that one they go, unless you're really elderly, right? But if you're not elderly, good grief, open up your laptop, you do other things on the phone and the laptop anyways, Google something to help your child. There is no way that you can say, I have no way of figuring out what is happening here. We just have to be willing to invest the time and the energy in the area that calls for it, and stop saying, oh, well, let me put them off on a teacher because the teacher is automatically more qualified than I am. I don't see it that way. And you don't have no special skills neither, right? I don't believe that, right? Because I'm not gonna lie, there are some teachers out there who are worse qualified than you to teach your child. And big up teachers again, I love you, but we have to be truthful. It's just, I saw it go. I never say, oh no, I don't want nobody come, so me say, teacher. No, I'm saying, call a spade a spade. I would say that it is certainly something that parents must get out of them head. That is not true. It is false that parents are not qualified enough to teach their children. May I say that one day, true or false? Definitely false. Number 4, the parent alone is the teacher for the homeschool child. No, not at all. This picks up from the point that I just made. If you're not good at math, or if you're not great at math, and you feel like you want to give your child extra help, get extra help for your child. Not because the child is homeschooled, you're thinking, oh well, I have to be the one to hold the reins. All when me don't like bad concerning a particular subject, you're not asking for help. No. In a situation where you are not able to, master a particular thing at the level that is necessary in order to teach a child, ask for help. Ask for help, and that could do with the academic or arts, drama, co-curricular activities. I mean, I dance, I freestyle, but I don't know these fancy them kind of dance. Phoebe has a dance teacher, right? Big up Phoebe's dance teacher and Phoebe's dance school, right? I I don't have to teach her everything. And why would I want to teach her everything? No thank you, right? So that's a myth. It's not true that the parent that homeschools a child is the only teacher that that child have, right? If the child need a math tutor, a Spanish tutor, whatever subject it is, then by all means, that person now becomes a part of that child's learning. Remember, is that when people hear homeschool, them just think, lucky in, dungeon, dun, 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 bar come down, help, let me out of here. You know, the metal dish there, food, eat, food, water. No, and that people are a real life something, you know, people are real life something. Wanna check it out. Shameless plug. Alright, so that's number 4 myth that I'm saying is false. That the parents are the only people who teach a homeschool child or a part of the child's education process. Nah. Other people involved. If you have a cousin with bad on the maths, if you have a niece with great on the English, bad in Jamaican terms means good, okay? Then you're real them in. Right? Remember, we want what's best for our children, and you have to watch, you have to look, you have to assess a situation, and you have to say, alright, we're gonna move in another direction there. We're not stuck enough. That is the method. We can't be stuck. We can't hold on to a dogmatic view where it's either this or nothing. We have to be able to move, we have to be able to adapt, because there are seasons as well. And maybe for this season, this is what was working for the homeschool child and the homeschool situation. But then something changed, we have to add in something, we have to take back something. So the thing work. Number 5, that homeschool parents are controlling. And all they want to do is control the child's life. Is that a myth, Kimona? Is that true or false? Where's the mirror? Let me look at it. Am I controlling? No. People, when people hear homeschool, they think, as I said before, like bars, like a Matilda vibe. Lock up in a dungeon, then not see no sunlight. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerated. But the way some people talk about it, you wonder what they are imagining, right? To me, homeschool actually means freedom. That, honestly, that's how I interpret the word. And if you were to observe how things run, Phoebe is more free than anything or any child. I would say freer than her peers who are in conventional school, not wasting time, not lazy enough, but freer. All a homeschooled parent is not that we're controlling, it's not that we're interested in controlling every area of the child's life, or else they would have never go out, they would have never go interact with other people, they would have never do certain things. It is the education aspect that we want to control, or we want control over. Why? Because what goes in to the child, especially at the formative stages, during the formative years, is very, very important. And if I could have found a dictionary, right, for find a bigger word, for say very, very important, it is crucial. That is not the bigger word now, but I can't think of any. I'm gonna get up to find the dictionary, right? I don't know me. It well important. It's very, very important. So if you do not ensure that what that child is receiving is not simply book knowledge, is not simply A plus B equal to, I don't know that commercial there, equal to Matt D. Right? And a simply 1 plus 1 equal 2, right? Yeah, that is the part that I want to control, because I know for a fact that what goes in now, guess what? It's gonna be coming back out. So I'm not interested in raising a genius. I'm interested in raising a morally sound child. A child that is not being bombarded with this agenda that really has infiltrated the schools, right? They're on the TV, they're not the schools, they're all over, right? I want to control what she learns, because when she learns it, she cannot unlearn it. So it's not about controlling every area of life and, you know, stay this so, no go this so, no look on people, no, nothing like that. So that is a myth. For sure, true or false, are homeschool parents controlling? False. Number 6, that homeschoolers homeschool because they were homeschooled. Hello? Hello? I was not homeschooled at any point in time, but they are schooled from I am an E, right? In the public school system, I know what it is. Okay, so that in and of itself is debunked, and it don't necessarily mean either that if you're homeschooled, you're gonna want to homeschool, because it can be that you were not homeschooled and you decide to homeschool. It can go either way. As I say, it's about assessing a situation, looking what works for your family, looking what goals you want to achieve, and deciding what is best for your child during a particular season. Because guess what? Even though I'm homeschooling now, I've said it before, I'm not bogged down to anything, right? When will I stop? I don't know, right? Can I say, all right, for this term, I'm going to send her out? Of course I can. Okay? I'm her mother. We're her parents. We can decide what to do. We can decide what's best for her. That is the beauty of it. I am not going to be told what exactly I should be doing with my child by people who do not know my child, do not care for my child to the same extent that I do, and is literally giving me advice based on. But not say you don't have people who really do care about children and advising us based on that. But hey, for the most part, they must say what they're supposed to say. That's all I'll say. They're saying what they're supposed to say. You have to decide if you're gonna take it or you're gonna leave it. Certain things me decide to leave, even if everybody else will take it. Kimona say, no, I'm gonna leave it over there. Right? It's not for me, it's not for my house. So I'm gonna go and run with whatever I'm gonna run it with. But of course, to me, that's a myth. That because you're homeschooled, you're gonna want to homeschool. Because I was not homeschooled, right? And I've chosen to homeschool based on my family and based on my situation and based on, as I said, what I felt God was leading me to do. So yeah, true or false, homeschoolers gonna homeschool their child? False, right? People might grow up and decide to say, no sir, my pitney I go straight to school, straight through the door, right? She might grow up and decide that, who knows, I don't. And it doesn't matter, she have to assess and make her decision based on what she deems best for her child. And as I keep saying that, it is what we as parents deem best for our child. God placed us as their primary stewards, right? You notice the word primary stewards, right? So there's an expectation that we are the ones who are going to be making the decisions concerning them primarily. So that means we have to give much thought to the decisions that we're making for them, right? And yeah, not make somebody decide for you. Don't let somebody else decide for you. And if you them pick you decide for them. And be wise about it, right? Final thought, final myth. I'm just gonna wrap it up in a conclusion. As a homeschool, I just want to declare, and if there are other homeschoolers who believe it, homeschooling does not protect your child from the outside world. And if we think that by keeping them, educating them at home, that is what is going to happen, no way, right? That is a myth. If there's any homeschooler who believe that we cannot protect them from the outside world, especially based on the fact that unless you have them shut in, right? And in some kind of bubble, you have plugs in their ears, they're locked in a closet, all that stuff. That is not and should never be the goal. The goal should never be to spare your child from what is a natural phase that they must go through. But at the same time, I am not going to throw my child out there before what I as a parent deem as an appropriate time, right? And as I say out there, remember, go back to the concept of what homeschooling is. It's what they're learning, right? It's what they're learning. Now, you have to decide, am I okay with the possibility that my child may become not just exposed, but overexposed to a particular thing before they're ready to learn about that thing? Some people will be like, well, they got many ways, so fine. As I said, whatever works for you works for you. But for me, I try to pace it. They're children. I keep saying they're children, right? And they are depending on us. They don't know it. Well, they do, but they're not able to vocalize. I am depending on you to make the best decision for me to protect me. There's this world out there that is coming after their minds. and not coming after it to pacify it and to, oh, you're so precious, you're created in God's image. No, it's to tell them lies about who they are and to destroy their identity, cause them to question what they wouldn't otherwise question, and really create havoc for them as children and for the family that they're part of. I'm not saying homeschooling is the solution to all the world's ills. I'm saying us sitting and thinking about what it is that our children are becoming exposed to by way of certain systems that we've immersed them in, you know, is something that would benefit from us revisiting and thinking about. And to not just believe what people say because people say it. I don't care how much letter you have behind your name, right? If you say something to me, I am going to think to myself about what you've said. I'm going to also find out what if God says something more where you know, on the same topic of what you said, I'm not going to take what you said. I'm sorry, right? But we should be thinking, you have your little house, you have your little home, you have your children, you have your child, you're a guardian of a child. You know, you should be thinking and choosing what's best for them concerning what they will learn and the phase they will learn it in and how they will learn it and who will teach it to them. There are certain topics that certain people have no business teaching a child about. I must say that straight up. So I want to think through those things and just not believe all these lies and revisit some of the things that we've already believed and ask ourselves, look at the evidence, look around you and see, you know, if there's something that says, hey, how many things that this was true and about, it appears to be false, right? Because there's no use believing a lie. A lie can only go so far and then you can't do nothing with it after that, right? Okay guys, thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. And before you leave, I'm going to ask you again to hit your subscribe button. Please like the video, share the video, leave your comments on the video. What are some other myths you've heard about homeschooling? And if you're not a homeschooler, is there anything that you're like, but Kim, what about this? You know, and I'll certainly try to either respond to it in a comment or give you my thoughts. Again, this is what is true about my situation. And so if one of the myths that I've spoken about and I say it's false and you say, no, Kim, true, big up yourself, that is what is true for you, right? And again, I don't believe that truth, you know, varies in many situations, but sometimes it does depending on your experience. We must look at where we are, stand on what is absolutely true, and then the stuff that we don't have a dead set answer on, look around and make the best decision for ourselves and for our families. So again, big up on yourself. Until we link up again, until we see each other again, take care. Let's continue to do more using a lot less. But this is something like that in another video. I mean, I try find back the phrase, but I can't find it in my brain right now. But when I get the point, we're going to do more using less. Right? Something like that. Pick up on yourself until we see again. Bye.